Do you know that time is the only one thing we all have in common? Whether you are rich or poor, educated or uneducated, employed or unemployed, we all have 24 hours a day. Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I have had this issue of not allocating the right time to the most important things of my life, and as a result of which, I used to be busy but then was not productive. That is when I came across this concept in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And this technique taught me how to effectively allocate the time so that you actually do things which are more important. And this technique is known as the Eisenhower decision matrix. And this particular technique allowed me to identify and divide my tasks into particular priority orders so that I can actually work on tasks that are more important to me. So as I mentioned, this particular technique is known as the Eisenhower decision matrix, and it was proposed and named after the former US President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Before being the President of the United States, he had served as a military general in the army. So combining his immense military experience along with the leadership skills, he was one of the most influential leaders of the 20th century. To throw light on some of his main accomplishments, he was the key figure in negotiating and ending the Korean War in 1953, and also has played an immense part in some of the most complex infrastructure projects in the US, including the interstate highway systems development, also the creation of the world's famous scientific institution, NASA, in 1958. Looking at President Eisenhower's accomplishments, no wonder this technique is very effective. And now let's go directly into what exactly this technique is. So the Eisenhower decision matrix is a very simple matrix that you can use in your daily life in order to split the activities that you have planned. So the first thing you need to do is draw a cross and divide the space into 4 quadrants. Okay. On top, the column is divided into urgent and not urgent tasks, whereas the rows are divided into important and not important tasks. So that's how you get the 4 quadrants. And then what you need to do is any task that you have planned for that particular day or week or month, you have to put these tasks into any one of these 4 quadrants. Okay. So how do you make the decision? So tasks that are important and urgent should go into quadrant 1. Now, what do you mean by important and urgent? So normally when you say important, it means it has to have some value by doing the task. There should be a useful outcome from that particular task that you do. When you say that a task is important, you have to ask this question: does it add any value to me? First question. If it adds that value, it is important to you. Okay. The second question that you need to ask is it urgent? So basically, if you have a deadline approaching and if you don't deliver by the deadline, you have to face a consequence. So these are the tasks that are urgent. So if it's important and urgent, assign it to quadrant number 1. For example, at work, that you have to reply to a customer who is not happy with some result. It could be a deadline that's approaching where you have to submit a report to your manager. Okay. Or it could be, let's say, more personal life situations like you're attending a medical emergency. Coming to the second quadrant is the quadrant for the tasks that are important, but it is not urgent. These are the tasks that actually help you develop. These are the tasks that you need to actually spend a lot of time. I'll tell you why. Because these are the tasks that help you develop as a person. Okay. They are very important to you because they help you to grow. They help you to achieve those results that you've been thinking of. But oftentimes we just keep it there. We just know that it's there and we don't assign it a particular schedule, or you don't schedule it. So these are the tasks that you need to schedule. Okay. That's why it's written schedule. For example, you want to be more fit, you want to exercise more, you want to read more books, or you want to learn a new course. Definitely, this cannot be done immediately because it takes time. So that is why you need to schedule it. You have to assign some part of the day or some part of the week for that particular activity so that you can continue developing it. If you consider the work scenario, this could be like positions in leadership where you can manage your strategic management. If you're in the business, it's like the strategies that you need to come up with to build your business. There's no urgency to do that, but definitely that's important, right? So this can be building up your team, right, in a right way, training them in the proper way so that they can be useful in the future. So these kind of things definitely help you to grow as a person, but are not urgent. So definitely this is the chunk that you need to concentrate the most of your effort on. Now coming to the third quadrant, these are tasks which are not important, but they are urgent. These kind of tasks are like, doesn't add any value to you, but this should be delivered urgently because there is a consequence attached to it. So these are tasks which basically doesn't add any benefit. So for example, you have been doing a task for a long time, you are kind of an expert on it, but then you don't want to do that anymore because it doesn't add value to you anymore. You have kind of reached the maximum attainable experience with it. So in that case, what you can do is either you can delegate that work to your team, okay, or to your peers. If delegation is not possible, definitely you can try to automate that particular task. For example, every week you have to create a report which generates some numbers and which can be automated, because you're not developing any skill by entering these manual numbers from this sheet to this sheet, for example, right? But this can be automated. You don't need to spend hours and hours working on it, but with a click of a button, with an efficient script, you can basically convert that numbers to this particular report. These are urgent but not important, which means you should spend as much as less time possible on that particular task. Coming to the fourth one is neither urgent nor important. These are things that doesn't help you in any way, and it's not urgent also. These are the tasks that we need to try to reduce or completely eliminate. So these are tasks like browsing social media or browsing the internet without any purpose, okay, chit-chatting about people. These things doesn't add any benefit. They give you sort of an instant gratification, but definitely this is not going to help you in the long run. Definitely, if you can divide your tasks in these 4 quadrants, then you can identify which to focus more. Okay, the reason that we are always busy and not making progress is because we spend most of the time either in number 3 or number 1. So if your combination is 3 and 1, this is not going to help you. But for example, if you are positioning your activities to quadrant number 2 and you're spending most of the time in quadrant number 2, this is when it actually helps you. If you concentrate on 1, the issue is that this is driven by someone else. Most of the time, quadrant number 1 is driven by someone else, okay, and that is adding stress to you. So if you shift from 1 to 2 and allocate most of your time there, this is when it actually enables you to develop as a better person. Maybe it's the skill that you wanted for a very long time to learn a new instrument or a new course or a new language or anything new that you wanted to do, because you think that this is something very beneficial for your future, for your career. The step that you wanted to make, the training that you wanted to give, these are the things that you need to really focus on. The relationship building that you need to have with your family, the more time you need to spend with your kids, this should be exactly put into number 2, because these are the things that actually matter to you. And most of the time we neglect it because there is no schedule and there is not written down a plan for it. So this is very important that we need to focus here. And once you do that, you'll actually see progress. And once you see that progress, you'll feel more content and you'll feel that you're more closer to your goals. Instead, if you focus on 3 and 1, you have this issue of burnout when you're not satisfied. You think you're spending a lot of energy and time, but you're not making progress. And this is exactly why. So from now on, try to divide your tasks accordingly and assign proper priorities, and then focus on quadrant number 2 as much as possible. I hope this video enabled you to understand this point from a new perspective. If it did help you, please leave a like. I'll try to make videos which has helped me to develop as a person in regards with self-development, productivity, general improvement, and so on. So see you in the next one. Goodbye.